Honorable Commissioner, thank you for your time. I've spent some time with you in most recent, just thinking about listening to you put together very coherently your thoughts and your ideas on the fantastic work your commission is doing, and how as data moves to increasingly to these electronic formats, how we would need to protect it, because the personal data of people, their PIIs, are the representation of themselves in systems and can be easily destroyed. But I'm sure that the question as to how to protect PII is the easy one, because you talk about that every day and you do it with such clarity. I want to add a slightly more challenging one. You are also a veteran in the industry, by the way. You have been in this space for technology for a long time, particularly in government. The challenge of having this paper-based data, sir. So we'll come to safety of data. But what do we do? This alternative, this paper, the issue of data standards, in your experience, before we even get to protecting personal data, what do we need to do to move to electronic formats that have been put out by government, particularly some of the stellar work NIDA has done over the years? What do you think is that journey based on your experience?
Thank you very much. Let me start by really commending the Honorable Minister for the very great work he's doing in this sector. Between where you started and now, we've seen a lot of developments, and it's obvious from your background and what you did when you were in the private sector, you are actually bringing all this to bear here. Now, looking at the problem of data in government and the way we collect, process, and share data, is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. In most developing countries, this is where most of them are. And it is gratifying to know that in Nigeria, we're actually more or less leapfrogging now, learning from the experience of developed countries and looking at what we can benefit and adapt our own peculiarities in the country. The Secretary General actually mentioned some things that are really germane and really important to the question that you asked. For instance, the caliber of people collecting and processing data in public service. What knowledge of digitalization do they need? What do they have in terms of what to do when data is to be collected digitally? Most of them still believe the analog way of thinking. And due to several reasons, but the most important one is the area of corruption. It's not about monetary exchange alone. Even sharing of information, sharing of personal data can lead to corruption. That can even have more serious and grave impact on human beings than when you give and take money. So we need to really look at their public service, look at the caliber of people in charge of data processing. In all the departments, what knowledge of data processing do they have? And a solution to that is already happening, in the sense that the government policy of digitalization of public service by 2025 just next year, a lot of things are going on, mandating all ministries, parastatals, agencies to ensure that they put in place measures for digitalization of their services. Also, in terms of infrastructure, which is really key. When you look at e-government, there are different levels of development in e-government. Some have never started at all. Some basic activities here and there. Some are into real actual data processing. I'll give examples, especially in where we have got into in Nigeria. Our NIPS, that's the Interbank Settlement Scheme, actually started in 1994. It got to a point that in the whole world, it was more or less the best. Even the all-better US actually started their Zelle in 2017, much later after we had started. When I wrote JAM several years back, at our own time, you have to go to JAM office in Ikoyi. You go there very early in the morning, you queue up to obtain form, you come back home, you fill that form, you go back again, you queue up, struggling and everything. But now, it's changing. You sit at the comfort of your room, you obtain your JAM form, you fill your form, you submit, you go to exam center, you write, and you get your results instantly. So it's different now. But what do we now do with those who still believe in those old ways of doing things. And our culture is a major issue. 65% of Nigerians live in rural communities. Most of them are farmers. They can't read, they can't write. If you say they should do anything digital, it's not possible for them. So how do we really capture these people? And when it comes to social investment program for government, this should be the real target. How will a farmer go online to fill form, to submit form, and receive alert without the help of anybody? Is a major challenge, and that is why what the ministry is trying to do, the area of providing access in all local government areas to a large extent assist them. And India has done a lot in that area, giving access to communities, local government schools, and so on. To a large extent, I'm sure that will be sorted out. Then the idea of this is by mandate. I usually call it this domain control mentality of most agencies of government, of most government officials. This is the way we're doing it. We can't change. Change management is really important. But a lot of people say, no, you have to come and fill form and do all these things manually. And they wouldn't even want to see you. If I want to get a service from government or from anywhere, ideally, nobody should see me. I need to sit in my room, fill my form, submit, even up to the level of international passport. But is that happening? No, in most cases. But the good story is that things are beginning to change. And the minister mentioned something when he was giving his welcome address about digital identity. By the time almost everybody in Nigeria has that digital identity, it's very difficult for you to say you must do things the analog way. Because that is a foundational identity. You want to, for example, you want to write JAM now, you want to write WIC, you want to do NYC, you want to go to university, you must have that identity. Linked to your bank account, linked to your telephone numbers. So if you get to a stage, gradually, our mindset will change from the other way of doing things, and to a large extent, you address some of the priority areas of the regional agenda of Mr. President. For instance, the area of corruption. You are saying, no, you have to go online to do all this. You don't need to even interact with anybody. To a large extent, to reduce corruption. Even the area of security, most of these things, the job creation and so on. These are things that we really need to work towards and ensure that we're there. And what the minister has done in the blueprint of the ministry, looking at the area of knowledge, policies, infrastructure, trade, entrepreneurship, access to capital, all this would definitely address all this. But like you get to a level in Nigeria that you can't do anything without going online. It's already happening. But the large majority stay in rural communities, and some of them in MDAs who are afraid of computer, who are afraid of going to the internet. You have to call somebody to come and help me do this. But even at the level of Federal Assembly Council that during COVID, that was one thing that really came up. That Fed was being held virtually. They had approvals, discourse, and everything. And so like I said, it's working for us now. And that's why I keep telling people that one good thing that came out of COVID for us as a nation and as human beings, the fact that we're able to deploy and use technology effectively to address some of our challenges. And even some of our basic transactions, sports, education, financial sector, and so on. And we need to really encourage our people to see the advantages, the merits in going digital. But there is no escape from it, unless you don't want to be a part of what is going in global digital. And you say you want to really partake in the global digital economy, you cannot escape from digital deployment of digital. But how effective we deploy it, I will reach on this infrastructure, human capital, funding, which the NGO talk to. These are things that, and also mindset, political will to be able to do this. And if it comes from the very top, everybody will key in. And even there are some things that say, if you don't go online to apply for some things, you can't have access. A lot of people will change. And even people in the ministry will definitely change. And all these people that are here, they are champions that can also assist in addressing this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. And some of the points, the points you've made are very poignant. I want to really stay on one, and share an experience that I got from one of these professionals from the private sector who was just appointed, and he was telling me that he got a file, and it's not my minister, please. It's even at the state level, and he got a file, and he asked the officers to treat ASAP. So nothing happened for like a week. So Yeah, what happened to the file? The guy came and said that they went to check if their public service to see if there's a guidance on ASAP. And they couldn't find, so they didn't know what to do on what ASAP, And it just speaks to some of the way the mind we're stuck in our ways, not finding. I do not believe that the public service does not give us the opportunity to rethink, to find fresh ways. We have seen bold initiatives even from within government. MBS is an example of an agency that has decided to say, look, what can we do beyond what is ordinarily expected? Going over to the commissioner, sir, this framework is being built. The minister is putting in the building blocks in terms of the necessary conversation, the policy and strategy overview, the capacity sort of required to do that. We need to protect personal data. Yes, we want to use data across government. Yes, data must be interoperable. Yes, we want to serve the public. But in view of your very crucial mandate, things can go wrong. I mean, we started seeing samples of that today, at some point. How do we, as a public service, begin to think about solving these challenges to protect the personal data of citizens within the government system? How do we prevent them from abuse? What is the perspective of the Commission on how we should go about this?
Thank you. Since we are going digital on almost everything now, and the foundation to whatever you're doing online is the exchange of your personal information. And these are digital footprints that will live there when you go online to do one thing or the other. And looking at the ministries, they are regarded as major data controllers. If you look at their personal data alone, and which they have to process on a regular basis, even if it's on salary, every month, they process data of their staff. Now, what do you need to put in place to ensure that such data is protected? The most important instrument that we have in Nigeria as of today is the Nigeria Data Protection Act, signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, on the 12th of June 2023. It's like a turning point to the area of data protection and privacy in Nigeria, and which has attracted a lot of global attention. Yes, attracting global attention, but what are we doing at home to ensure that the interest, the freedom of Nigerians are really protected wherever the data is collected, processed, and stored? Well, about 3 years ago, when we started, we actually did a survey and discovered that the level of compliance, especially in the public sector, was very poor. Just 4% in the entire public service. So people are just throwing personal data anyhow, processing them as they like, not realizing the dangers in just putting this data out there. We now went to the office of the former GF. We worked with them. We were able to obtain a circular mandating all ministries, departments, and agencies to comply with the provisions of the law. In complying with the provisions of the law, what do you need to do? One, you must have your data protection officer who oversees your data protection activities to ensure that the data you collect and process is safeguarded and is protected and processed within the provisions of the law of the land. And also, your data processing activities, what do you need to put in place? A kind of governance structure to what you are doing. That is, you have your privacy statements that anybody coming online to do one thing or the other with you, you're able to, at a glance, understand what your mandate is and the kind of data you collect, how you process them. That will now be expanded in your privacy policy. That will now give detailed information about what you do and even your contacts. And on that, you have to also register with the Commission. That is what we have officially started work on that. Requesting all data controllers and processors of major importance in the country to register with the Commission, because we should have a database of data controllers and processors in the country. If you don't have them, you don't know those who are even regulated. When you do that, on another basis, you now file your annual compliance audit with the Commission, which will speak to the governance structure you have, the availability of a DPO, and the kind of DPCO that you're working with. Because we have licensed some private sector organizations who are experts in data privacy and protection to carry out compliance as a service for organizations. And to a large extent, the kind of traction we'll be able to achieve in the last 2 years, they've contributed a lot to that. They will look at your documentation. What kind of documentation process do you have in place in terms of your information security policy, speaking to your software policy, bring your own device policy, network security policy, internet usage policy, all these things that we need to evaluate to look at what we refer to as your technical measures, which you have put in place to ensure that you secure the data of Nigerians with you. Then we'll go on the other side to look at your what you have done in terms of the organizational measures. That is the caliber of people which I spoke to before, collecting and processing personnel. Some of them don't even understand the importance of this. Even at times, data subjects, they don't really care. They ask for data and just give it out right now. Until you let them see this, they probably appreciate what you are doing and what you are trying to tell them to put in place in terms of data protection. Also, we look at your data processing activities and your availability of a DPO that is working with you. These are all things that we are encouraging them to do. And very soon, we have already discussed with other ministers what we'll be doing is to build capacity of Nigerians. We've trained so many public servants to ensure that they put in place measures to ensure that data in the organizations are protected. But to what extent are they able to do this, which is a major issue? Part of what we even discussed while we were in Kenya. Ideally, your DPO should report directly to the FAMSEC, who is the number one public servant in your organizations, but is that the structure in the public service? In addition to that, recruitment of new staff in the public sector is very cumbersome. We are now saying we don't need to recruit new people. There can be a kind of job role change. Pick one staff who is eligible enough in the area of data privacy and protection to oversee your data protection, to encourage you and create awareness, put in place what you need to do in terms of training and so on. And we are happy to even train them free of charge. Because you can be there are two ways to being a data protection officer. You can do it by just training and the schedule of work that you do. You're going to learn of that job. The other part, which is the higher level, is for you to be certified as a data protection officer. And this is a scarce skill in the country. People who are really qualified, who are certified as data protection officer in Nigeria, we are not up to 10,000. And whereas we have identified about 500,000 data controllers and processors, both in government and the private sector. How do we not fill this skill gap? And that is why capacity building is very high on the agenda. And we are trying to encourage all MDs to ensure that they put in place measures. If they have any staff, we're happy to train them free and take them through what they need to do. But the good news is that compliance is beginning to improve gradually. Well, we've taken it upon ourselves to visit MDAs, talk to ministers, talk to CEOs, talk to FAMSECs, to let them see the reason behind data privacy and protection, whatever they do, because it guarantees trust and confidence in whatever you are doing. Trust that, yes, if I do any business with the organization, it will go smoothly without any hitch. And also trust that my data with you is safe and secure. And in case of breaches, I already mentioned, nobody is above mistake. There can be accident if it happens. Without looking at it, what happened, how did it happen? But that will easily be mitigated if you have put in place measures to ensure protection. But without measures, anybody can just hack into your system, harvest data of as many people as possible, use them in a malicious manner, identity theft, and so many other things that may happen. So we just need to encourage the MDA to ensure that all these measures are put in place to ensure proper protection of personal data. It speaks to what we are or who we are as a nation. When you are talking of data exchange, why do we need data exchange? To be able to deliver services in a seamless, simple, cost-effective way for citizens to be able to interact with government, and even citizens, business, private organizations to be able to work together to ensure that, yes, we can deliver services in a cost-effective manner and that will be very impactful on the disease. So we are trying to encourage all MDAs to put in place. In the private sector is better because they actually understand all these things. In fact, most of the organizations that were investigated are from the private sector. Some of them, we are beginning to really invite some public sector organizations now. There are some organizations that are here, I won't mention their name, but I can see some of their the honorable minister is even aware of this one. We invited them about a month ago, and we told them we'll go public with this thing. We all one thing with this law that we have now. You may say you're a public servant. If a fine is issued, it's against government, government will pay government. But what we have in the law now, as a CEO, you can be jailed. You can be jailed as a CEO if there is evidence of data breach and you have not put in place adequate measures to ensure protection. That's the extent to which we are going. And that's why all over the world, this Nigeria Data Protection Act is referred to as the most progressive law in of data protection, because others who had their laws before ours, there are some things that they couldn't put in. For instance, regulating emerging technologies, for instance, which is AI, blockchain, IoT, all these laws that are really rigid, that cannot give you opportunity to regulate properly. They are out of date. They are outdated now. Like laws made in 2012, before 2010 and so on. But our own is the latest, and we have been able to cooperate some of these things to ensure that we protect the integrity of the data that we have, and to ensure that there is trust in government activity in Nigeria. But what we need to do is to work with the ministry and all the MDAs to ensure that they put in place measures to guarantee trust and to ensure data protection.
Thank you very much. It's a round of applause. Thank you so much for that insight on what we must do as MDAs to protect personal data. In closing, sir, Commissioner, sir, if some of us here want to become specialists around data protection, all in a bid to ensure that government has reliable, trustworthy, and safe data sets, what would be your 1, 2, 3 tips on what to do? And if you have, and also, I'm sure there are colleagues here who want to know if you have training programs coming up, and sort of what are the initiatives you have for upskilling and helping capacity, in government in this regard.
Before I came into this ecosystem, there was this erroneous belief of general comment that lawyers, though they are the only learned people, we think the data privacy ecosystem is mainly for lawyers. But when I headed the team that worked on the data privacy stuff under that, I just asked myself, yes, by training a videographer up to the PhD level, or like if I was to supervise a team and they be speaking and I won't understand what they are saying, I would be stupid with my level of education and experience in public service. So I just took it up myself. All my training was under data protection, up to my level of certification. I challenged myself. I wrote the exams once and I got it right. Why am I saying this? There are no special skills, no special qualification for you to become an expert in data privacy and protection. The lawyers, don't let them deceive you. Don't let them intimidate you that it is that. No, it's not. So when you take this up, you're training just 1 week, but I won't advise you to write the exam really 1 week. After your training, go and take your time, read thoroughly. Look at what is happening in other countries. In my office today, I have the head of our accounting department. He's a certified data protection officer. The head of HR is a certified data protection officer. And I've been encouraging all my colleagues in different departments to ensure that they get their certification. This is to speak to the fact that anybody, no matter your background, you can become a data privacy expert. And the good thing about it is, even after leaving service, can still be a source of revenue for you to work, earn money, and even employ people. And we have to have it at the back of our mind, especially young graduates, that the era of coming out of university and you are asking for government to employ you is over. You need to be able to contribute something and make yourself relevant in a way that you can even become an entrepreneur and employ people. So it's very simple. All you need to do is to write your certification. But I said before, on the job training, we can offer that. We train you and you can write it yourself. But a program is coming up very soon, which I already discussed with the Honorable Minister, and he has given approval in principle that we should embark on massive training of data protection officers in the public sector and in some states. But budget is a big issue. We are still trying to see how we can raise some way to do that. So, as many people as are interested, we'll soon open the portal as soon as we're able to put in place of. What we will do is to train you and get you certified, so you become an expert in that area. So very soon. A major challenge that we've been will have been experiencing that of writing foreign exams. I have a PACB certification where I wrote my exams was about almost $1,000, and I maintain my salary with about $100 every year. The question is, how many people can really afford that in Nigeria? So we are working towards having a national certification body. And within the next few weeks, that will happen. And they have application with PACB, with IAPP, major certification bodies across the globe. So to price the price of training and certification, and most of the trainings will be done by licensed DPCOs. These are people who are identified as experts, who are already working in this field. They will train them, and other people will now write their certification bodies. In fact, when I discussed with some of my colleagues in Kenya and Ghana, they are saying, please, let's work together. The Ghana has a certification process, but they are still struggling. One good thing about this ecosystem is that Nigeria came in late, but we're already taking the lead in Africa. And anything we are doing, they want to participate. They are saying, let's meet and see how we can have it as a model for Africa. So we don't need to be spending dollars to realize certification exams abroad. But because in terms of objectives, principles, all the things you need to know, they're almost the same. All you just need to do is to adapt your own local law and peculiarities in your own country. And we are saying instead of spending about 1.6 million to write the exam, why can't you spend like 500,000? Get your training, write the exams, and get your certification. And on the job training, you continue to improve. Because even the certification does not confer competence on you. You say into year certification, you continue to, by knowledge of data privacy is not the same thing like 1 year ago, not the same thing like 2 years ago, not the same thing. And I'm still learning, I read every day. In fact, I have a book that I take to anywhere I go. When I was traveling last week, if I was saying, this is your Bible. I said, yes. Well, you need to constantly read and know what is happening in other climes. And this culture keep changing. Technology keeps changing rapidly. Things are changing in data privacy ecosystem. For instance, issue of emerging technology, those who had their loss 12, 13 years ago, they never have received it. And it's happening now. So you need to keep yourself abreast of what is happening in other climes for you to properly understand what you need to do. Because even at level of EU, in terms of decisions, countries may take decisions to say, okay, we are supporting the other. Will say, no, it can't work for us. This is even like the model, the golden model for data privacy in the whole world. So all you need to do is just be ready to work. If you are lazy, you can't work in this ecosystem. But just be determined. And I said, we do it after retirement. It's still a means of revenue for you. So we are very soon, the portal will be open for registration, and as many people as able to.
Thank you very much, sir.
My name is Rashida Sadiq from the National Bureau of Statistics. I don't know how much of academia is here, but if there are academia here, I believe they should be having cold chill, running down their spine when the data protection officer was speaking. Because naturally, we have problem with access to data. There are so many innovative research that's supposed to be done, but access to data has been one major problem. People call from all over the nation. You work with National Bureau of Statistics, please, we need data. But we don't have it because this exchange is not there. When you go to individual agencies, I know how much I've gone to several agencies to speak, say, I'm from MBS, please, I'm a researcher, please, I need data. And they'll tell you, madam. Probably because they have this idea of data protection. So I'd like to ask, what's the thin line between data protection and data hoarding? Secondly, I look forward to this framework such that all data is available to the Bureau of Statistics, which is the apex institution that is responsible for even the release of data, so that our state offices can have direct access to the headquarters. People from all over the nation calling headquarters for data can easily go to the state offices of the Bureau of Statistics to get access to data. So again, sir, the thin line between data protection and data hoarding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
My name is Akib Lawal. I'm an information security professional. My question is around the data security itself. Now that we are looking to have this data harnessed, maybe even in a central, accessible in a central manner, my worry is this. I would imagine the infrastructure for this data will be on the cloud. And as it is in Nigeria, we don't have, to my knowledge, I don't think we have cloud data. The popular data, cloud service providers do not have presence in Nigeria. Some countries like Russia go as far as saying that we cannot have my data outside my physical region. So my question is this: yes. So if in the short term we want to leverage cloud, what's the longer term plan to bring this closer home? And you can imagine if our data is in a server in the United States, and there's a court that has given some order to seize that data, for example, we may not be able to do much. But if it were in Nigeria, it would be hard for another country to force us to release data. So I understand in the short term, we have to leverage cloud, but what will be our long-term goals for the infrastructure? Thank you.
Just a little insight on the another storage of data. I think some of our regulations or laws, the public service, will be some major problems for us. For instance, accountants will come to you, maybe during the audit exercise. You are telling them you fully digitalize your processes, and they are saying, no, I need to see your physical vouchers. I need to see the paper, the memo that you wrote. You are telling them we've done everything online, but they are telling you, no, it's not possible. Or else you are just using this thing to chop money. So we need to really create awareness, and where possible, make amendments to regulations. Where an accountant can come into your office. If you have fully digitalized your processes, just take them through your data process and let them see it, and whatever they want to write, they write their report. Even as we speak, both of the CEOs, you still go through, like I would say, they give vouchers for some things, physical vouchers. When the money will be paid, they will say, sign the mandate. You still thumbprint. And it's not useful for anything. So where do we keep all these things? On the shelf. And anybody can just come there, pull them out, and use for any. But there are ways of discarding such things, those files that you want to file, that process you need to follow. But government again will say, even in data processing, there are some years that which you can still keep some of this information. If you burn them or destroy them, they'll say you are corrupt. So these are things that we need to, and I think the Honorable Minister can take the lead in this. Maybe discuss with the Honorable Minister of Finance and at the level of Accountant General, Auditor General, they should discuss it because it's a major issue in MDAs. Then the thin line between data privacy and having access to personal data. I think it has to do with consent. Right from the moment you are collecting such data from your data subjects, that aspect of consent is really important, that you will likely share their data with a third party. And for what purpose? If you not share that information to a third party without their consent or for a completely different purpose, you may be prosecuted. So that is why it's really important for all of us to know the intricacies in data management, data sharing, data privacy, and so on. If you don't have the consent of the data subject, just throwing their data anyhow, if anything happens to their data, you are liable. So, and I think I just spoke to the strategy that I've been trying to see. These are sort of things that we need to really encourage in MDAs and for all organizations that are processing data. And that is where the services, the functions of DPOs are really important in organizations. That the one that will tell you, yes, you want to collect data. These are things you need to put in place. Why are you collecting such data? There are some data you even collect that you don't even need. There is what is regarded as purpose limitation. You collect data for only the purpose for which you want to use for. Then for specific purposes. So if you don't do this, you may even collect more than what you need. And by the time you are processing, you even have problem processing them, and anybody that has access to them can misuse them. So consent is really key. That's the key word that we need to put in place as the corporate. Anonymization is also there. Your encryption method. If you are sending somebody information from one place to the other, what kind of encryption method do you have? Some, if you want to identify where it's going, maybe you need to mask some part of it, or the encryption method that I use, all these are some of the things that I need to put in place. But if the general data you are using, if it's fully encrypted, is anonymous, nobody knows who owns the data, then you can share that. But if it has to really identify somebody specifically, the content is really important. Thank you.
So with this...
Sorry, on data storage that you mentioned, it was a major challenge when we were drafting the Nigerian Data Protection Law. Some professionals are really insisting that every data of an average Nigerian must reside within this country. How do you control that? You sit in your office, you want to buy things from Amazon, you have your doctor, a lot of you that go outside for medical checkups, you have your data with your doctor in the US, in the UK. You want to sit there, you want to call your doctor, he has access to your data. So the way we addressed that was to have data categorization. What category of data must remain within this country? And what category can you share with you? And also again, your consent is really important in that area, if it's your personal data. So, but categorization definitely will stop that. You classify the type of data you want to keep and the one you can share. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, we've come to the end of our session today. Thank you so much.